Is the right unified? We have the story from Mediaite. Charlie Kirk, producer, hits back at Candace Owens, accusing her of inciting harassment of those close to him. Now, it is a bit, drama to be talking about people instead of policy and politicians, and not so much the politicians, but what they're doing. But Turning Point did formally respond for the first time. And the reason this story matters, it's not so much the people, it's is the right fractured? And I'll tell you this right now. The libertarians are already pissed at Trump. And now MAGA is in internal wars following the death of Charlie Kirk. There are people fighting each other left and right. Marjorie Taylor Greene was unendorsed by Trump, then announced her resignation. Then when Mike Cernovich tweeted at her, you need to serve your full term, she tweeted at him in the weirdest way, being like, men telling women to get in the kitchen and make a sandwich. And it's like, actually, he's telling you to serve Congress. I think it's kind of the opposite. But she's snapping off. And now Candace Owens, of course, with the tweet she put out yesterday saying to demand a refund from the, quote, godforsaken organization that is Turning Point USA. Everything is being ripped apart. It is creating a prime opportunity for Democrats to win because Democrats don't suffer these kinds of bifurcations. They're cultists. That's how they're defined, by their obedience to each other.
Don't forget all of your favorite right-wing influencers being exposed as being from India on X like last week.
Were they not only from India, but being paid by these whatever this weird stuff is? So we have this video. This is from the Charlie Kirk show, and we'll play it for you here. This is actually the tweet. Is Mikey McCoy says, "Not all that's done in the name of truth and justice promotes truth and accomplishes justice. Thankful for the incredible Blake S. Neff and Dr. Frank Turk on the show today. I'll be happy to address all of this in the live stream with you guys. And here's the video.
We wanted to use this segment at the top of this hour to say something important, something very important. For the past 2.5 months, there is a topic that has flooded our Freedom inbox. It has been nonstop on social media, but which we have almost totally avoided on this show. You probably already know what I'm talking about, which shows just how ubiquitous it has been. Ever since Charlie's murder, Candace Owens has leveled a flood of allegations against people at Turning Point USA, people at Turning Point Action, and people who work for this show. She's made them against some of Charlie's closest friends and against some of his most dedicated employees. She has suggested that Michael McCoy, Charlie's chief of staff, knew Charlie would be murdered, was happy that he died, and stayed silent because he was told he would be the next Charlie. She has suggested Michael is not his real name. It is. I have seen his birth certificate myself. She has called it suspicious that Mikey's wife, who works at Turning Point, helped plan the campus tour event where Charlie was murdered, which she didn't, by the way. She doesn't work on campus events. Candace has suggested the Utah Valley University event was unusual and its details suggested a, quote, inside job. She has claimed that foreign aircraft have followed Erica Kirk around the country and that Turning Point has lied about this happening. She has accused us of lying about Charlie wanting Erica to take over for him if he died. She has suggested Charlie's security team intentionally denied him first aid after the shooting to ensure that he died. She has raised suspicions about the head of our technical team because he took an SD card out of a camera. She has spread absurd claims that Tyler Boyer, who we just had on the show, sexually abuses male interns. She has suggested that TPUSA faith-affiliated pastors, like theologian Frank Turk, who we'll have on in a moment, and Pastor Rob McCoy, are part of a military, quote, infiltration of Turning Point, either because they are veterans or because they have family members who are. Even if not everyone has been named specifically, though, Candace has effectively tarred everyone here with complicity in Charlie's death by repeatedly saying he was, quote, betrayed by, quote, everyone. She has said Charlie's murder, quote, had to be approved by Charlie's friends, and then suggested those friends might have her murdered too for, quote, knowing the truth. She has made claims of financial impropriety and fraud at Turning Point, adding up into the millions of dollars, which, again, is not true. Charlie made sure the organization was audited by a third party every year. He personally reviewed and he signed off on every expense report, and literally every single bill paid by the organization down to a single United States dollar. We have never missed a 990 deadline. Candace has made other stranger allegations involving French paratroopers in maroon shirts, Egyptian Air Force planes flying out of Provo, Utah, and potential underground assassins traveling through unseen tunnels. At one point in early November, she started wildly throwing suspicion on members of Utah Valley's soccer team for wearing hoodies. I could go on. There is always something new coming up, and none of it ever pans out because from the start, there has been nothing there. The attacks and allegations from Candace are either lies or they are innuendos thrown around with a total, reckless disregard for the truth so that Candace can manipulate and string along an audience of people who don't realize they are being played. Instead of being able to grieve properly after one of the most heinous murders in American history, a murder many of us had to witness, my friends have had to endure harassment from people who have gotten whipped up by what Candace is saying. In fact, I would say we have suffered more harassment from these people than we have from Antifa supporters who overtly celebrate Charlie's murder. And just like a lot of those Antifa members, many of these people take this delight in how gross and unpleasant they can be. What our friends have had to endure is not funny and it's not insignificant. It is evil. I have seen it. For months, we have received hundreds, thousands, I suspect, emails and calls asking us to respond. People have wanted us to invite Candace on the show. But for a long time, our approach was to say nothing. We did that for several reasons. First, we thought that her prevarications were so absurd that nobody would believe them. We shouldn't have to answer questions about secret tunnels or Egyptian Air Force planes. That sort of thing is just, it's beneath contempt to respond to. The second reason we've said so little, though, is because there's a good rule of thumb, which Charlie followed. Do not feed the trolls. Focus on the mission. Reviving America, uplifting young people, making heaven crowded. Don't give air to people who want to tear you down and sow discord. Lastly, we didn't respond because Charlie always viewed Candace as a friend, and we were holding out hope that she would return that friendship and stop what she was doing. But a week from now, it's going to be 3 months since Charlie's murder. Candace has not changed her behavior. She has continued to spread falsehoods about Charlie's friends, and she continues to concoct new ones about new people. She's using these falsehoods to enrich herself while dividing the conservative movement at an absolutely critical time for this country. And far too often, we here have heard from ordinary people, people who loved Charlie and who Charlie loved so much in return. These people have expressed the worry that we are staying silent out of cowardice or as some sort of tacit admission that some of the attacks are true. Neither is the case. Our silence has never been, and it will never be, equal to complacency or approval. Still, we decided Charlie would not allow this to go on. Charlie was not a coward. Charlie was a fighter. Charlie would not allow someone to spread lies about the people closest to him with impunity. And he would feel ashamed if other people were stepping up to defend his friends while he never did so himself. Candace has mentioned several times that the ball is in our court. So here's what is going to happen. In the near future, there will be a live stream here in Phoenix where we address in a clear and comprehensive way the claims and accusations, the false accusations that have been made against Charlie's family, friends, and the people here at Turning Point. We plan to walk through everything carefully and thoroughly. If Candace is available, we would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream at our studio here in Phoenix. At this point, we believe the ball is back in her court. Our motivation for doing this is not out of any obligation to Candace. It is about honoring Charlie. We feel a deep responsibility to protect his legacy, his work, and the truth. I feel that. I owe Charlie everything in my life. I feel it immensely. And that is why we feel compelled to speak clearly and openly now. We'll have more on this in the near future.
It is entirely possible that moving into this election season, we saw this with the Ron DeSantis fracturing, the conservative Trump base fracturing. Some were saying Trump's got to return. Some were saying Ron DeSantis is the guy. Before Trump announced he was coming back, I said I liked Ron DeSantis, would probably support him. This is like 2022. Then Trump announced he was coming back, and I said he's improved. He's got better demeanor, better behavior. And DeSantis really flubbed it. Still, there is this fracture that exists, but it's like there's like a tacit alliance between those who are just traditional conservatives supporting DeSantis, getting behind Trump even though they don't really like him. I think by the time the midterm comes around, there's a strong probability everyone's back on the same page because the Democrats are going to be coming out with insane policies that we'll all find ourselves at odds with. However, as of right now, everything is fractured, and I think Turning Point has, to a certain degree, some responsibility, not nearly to the degree that Candace Owens does, but and responsibility in they don't have what Charlie had. Charlie is gone, and without Charlie, you lose what made Turning Point and what built this coalition. So when I say responsibility, I just mean like an organization without its captain is not going to do as well, and there already are divisions forming. That is. And take for it whatever you will. The issues that we've had with Turning Point, where we're not going to be there for whatever reason. They've asked us to come back. It's not possible at this point. We have other commitments. Then you have Candace Owens, who is doing everything in her power to destroy Turning Point, which is the principal unifying force, though it has faltered a little bit. This division exists. There are people I see on social media saying there's no division on the right. MAGA's unified. The left is trying to sow division. Oh, it is fried. It is ripped asunder. I mean, Tucker Carlson versus, the Babylon Bee guys and the Megyn Kelly thing they posted. There's no unified right at all. It is now a disparate faction of various anti-left, like non-left groups. And whether they come together around their candidates, I don't know. What I can say is I know my rep. So when the midterm comes up, I already know who I'm voting for, right? Riley Moore is fantastic, and it's nothing to do with whatever it is that's going on here. So that might not speak to the midterms in the same way. But there may be a lot of people that can't get behind the same candidates, and this division can result in people staying home.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if people feel like there's no kind of unified voice on the right, they're definitely not going to go out to vote. Yeah. It's hard enough to get them to vote in the off terms anyways,
Do you think some of this is because I don't follow the story. I don't, but it's crazy because my X feed is just full of people talking about this, and I don't have any interest in following along with the Candace Owens stuff. Is it kept to Twitter? To X? Is this the type of thing where it's not going to make its way into the real world?
No, it's
everywhere.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. And I think, like Candace tweeted at me earlier, and this is what she does. Some account took a quote from Timcast IRL out of context, where we were discussing Candace Owens reportedly makes $10 million per year. That's what Fortune said. And the greater context for you guys watching, you already know this because you watched the show, was that does she really make $10 million? Well, based on the views that she gets, she does one show that gets like 2 million views. We do a bunch of smaller shows. If we did one show, maybe it would be 60-70% of the size of hers. We make more than $10 million. I think Candace probably makes more than $10 million. That was the context. In that statement I mentioned, some people are obsessed with status, so they'll bot. I didn't say she did. They took it out of context, cut out the beginning where I literally say she doesn't bot, she has a mass appeal, so that she could then, or not so that, but that then she takes it, and they're offering money now for proof that we bot. She is, and of course, she didn't actually tweet Tim Pool does thing, or she uses vagaries, because, as I explained earlier this morning, a politician can't come out and say, if you vote for me, I will do thing to Social Security. Whoa. All of a sudden, you've got 775,000 people in your district, and 100,000 are saying, what do you mean you're going to change the scheduling for Social Security? You can't do that. That's going to screw me up. So how do you do it? You say, vote for me and I will fix Social Security. Yeah. Ask me how. How will I fix it?
You don't know.
The first thing I'm going to do when I get in there is I'm going to go to these politicians and tell them, you stop messing with it. My people need their Social Security. It needs to be fixed. For the younger generation, for the older generation, you don't actually say anything. Otherwise, people get mad. If you keep it as vague as possible, then people fill the gaps in themselves.
That's what President Obama did with the Hope and Change. That phrase was plastered everywhere, and everybody that saw it internalized it and decided what hope and change meant to them.
Yep.
And there was no actual message from the Obama administration.
Well, like Kamala Harris, forward. I mean,
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yep.
It's because we're dealing with the lowest common denominator of society. So right now, another thing that I explained, as I explained in great detail why Candace is not botting, is that you can choose to diversify your content and try and find things that are appealing because politics is boring. Hey, the raccoon story. To be honest, our concurrent viewership is lower today from choosing to do that, but I don't care. I thought it was funny. And, I mean, it is what it is. We talked about it before the show. I said if we do the raccoon thing, we're not going to have as many viewers, but, it's funny and we should talk about it because it matters. But Candace is going the other route. As vague as possible, as terrifying, true drama, true crimey, emotional, female-coded that she can. I mean, and I really do recommend y'all watch her episode from yesterday where she was in love with Charlie Kirk. Again, I clarify, I am not saying this derisively. The way she describes, I'm going to say it again. She's like, I texted him saying, I feel like an alien. And he said, I feel like a time traveler. And I'm like, yeah, that's romance novel stuff. No, for real. That's like romance novel writing for women where it's just like, he looked at me and said, I must be like a time traveler and you're my alien. And she was like, I was his wingman telling him what to wear. Honestly, it sounds like she loved Charlie. Charlie chose someone else, and now she wants to burn down the world all around Charlie Kirk because she couldn't have it.
Rough.
But I mean, in all seriousness, I think that's maybe reading a little bit too much. I think really she's just like, how can I get views? You know what I mean?
Well, that's
one better.
Like, what if I said the assassination plot against me? You know what she tweeted? It was really funny. She said, I can now say with full confidence that I believe. She said that. I can now state with full confidence that I believe Turning Point betrayed Charlie. Wait. State with full confidence that you believe? Why, was there a point at which you weren't sure if you believed something? Like, these are the vagaries of sentences that allow you to get by. Like, I can say right now with 100% certainty, there is 100% certainty within my heart that I believe Candace Owens is trying to kill me. Right? You get the point. That way she can't sue me for defamation. Well, I never said I believed she actually, I've confirmed it. I said I confirmed that I believe it. And I can believe whatever I want. Can't sue me for that.
From everything that I've seen, it just seems like she's fantastic at telling the story that she's telling when she's doing her job. She's very good at what she does. I don't know the validity of anything that's going on, but from the reaction she gets from the people that listen, she obviously strikes a chord with a lot of people.
Oh, there's a lot of people that are in my ex post, or there's a lot of people in the chat as well that are like very committed to the story that Candace is alluding to, with no actual. There's no there. She's not actually saying anything. She's making all kinds of innuendo.
That was a great point from Blake, where he's like, she'll say something and then abandon the storyline. Mm-hmm. It's like these planes, what's going on? And then a day later, it's not even a thing anymore. Yeah. And now she's jumping back in time and being like, I heard Colvette was going to make millions off a deal with BB. And Colvette's like, what deal? There's no deal with BB. And it's like, sure, I don't know, maybe he's lying, but why is she going back in time now to a previous statement? Because it's just there. It actually is remarkable because we talked about this the other day when we were listening to her show. She talks for a long period of time without actually saying anything of substance. And I'm like, I guess that makes it easy to understand if you have a low reading comprehension, which is most people. I'm not trying to insult most people, but that is most people. So you're going to get mass appeal if you intentionally speak in I'll put it this way. Say as little as possible, but with as many words as you can.
But this is also politics adjacent to, this is a horrifying, tragic event that's adjacent to politics, and a lot of people consume politics now as sort of a spectator sport anyways. It's no longer something that people look into critically. They just want to see their side win, and this is kind of adjacent to that in a way, which means it's hit people a specific, hits in their heart. Yeah,
but I also do think there's an element of main character syndrome among the average person, and this... Nobody wants to believe that the world is boring. And it's kind of funny because the world's actually pretty dang crazy if you're tracking all these stories. But everybody wants to believe something fantastic instead of just that most people aren't part of any nefarious conspiracy plot. They do exist, but not always. You know, like Bowman came and pulled the fire alarm thing off the door. I don't think he got into a secret cabal meeting in a skiff and plotted it. He just impulsively did it.
I mean, I actually do think that the world is, for the most part, pretty boring. Like, a lot of times when we talk about this stuff, it's like you're curating news all day. You're gathering stuff from across the country, whereas back in the day, you maybe saw your local paper, maybe you got some national news, but you didn't get the amount of access you have to just unbelievable amounts of information, which means now the world feels like it's more crazy and haphazard than it actually is.
So we got a super chat from Wyatt Kaldenberg who says, just the cyber right cares. People in the real world are unfamiliar with Candace Owens. Tim Pool, Turning Point. This is just cyber drama. It's not real. You are wrong, my brother. This was just over the holidays. All I was doing was going out and bumping into random people. And I mentioned this the other day. I was at a steakhouse and I overheard people talking about civil war because of the shooting in D.C. Yeah. This is major news. All of this stuff is tied together. And people used to say for a long time, Twitter's not real life. And it was technically correct because it wasn't in the seats of power. But as young people have aged into those seats of power at corporations and politics, that worldview absolutely is real life. And, I'll just say this. Out in the middle, like, we've had issues with skateboarding. I go to a skate park and people are putting flyers of my face up. It is absolutely everywhere in the real world. There are people who made T-shirts of my face and they wear them at skate parks. They're not fans. They hate me. So they made T-shirts with my face on it. This stuff absolutely does make it. I was playing poker on Saturday and there was 3 young guys and they brought up Candace Owens. Candace Owens comes up all them. I was eating at a steakhouse and there was a group of construction worker guys. And when they got up to leave, recognized me. And one guy said, "You really think Charlie's dead?"
You really think? Wow.
Yeah. And I said, yes, I do. I mean, we like our team knows his team. Like, I was on the phone with some of them. They were freaking out when it happened. And one of the things I was talking, I can't remember who I was talking about. It was maybe Jeremy Hambley or Jack Posobiec. I was like, guys, this is regular people listening to this stuff. This is mainstream entertainment.
The question is, though, how do you dissuade people from believing this kind of stuff? You know, someone says always, do you really believe Charlie Kirk is dead? What evidence are you ever going to present to, to prove to someone that he actually is dead? I mean,
I don't imagine that there is any evidence because people have already convinced themselves that, even though they don't have any kind of hard facts, they're like, well, and then they look at all of the implications or all of the innuendo, and they're like, well, that does it for me. You see it all the time. People say, oh, this is the way that it's got to be. You can present all kinds of evidence to the contrary, and they're like, well, we saw it with the JFK files. You saw, people were like, oh, that it was Israel that did it, and there was almost no mention of Israel in the JFK files. But people that believe that it was Israel, they're like, well, the fact that they're not in there proves it.
Right? Yeah, when the JFK files came out, there was a viral tweet where it was like, anyone notice anything weird? Which country wasn't named? Yeah. And then all the comments and replies are like, whoa, Israel's not anywhere in the files, and it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The absence of evidence is proof. Holy crap.
JFK refused to touch the wall. So
that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.